Hello and welcome to Procurement in the Park. I'm Schuh, and today I want to talk about a topic that few like to admit yet most encounter: internal politics. As you move up the ranks in any organization, the temptation and the pressure to engage in internal politics becomes stronger. And the higher you climb, the more intense it often gets. Some studies suggest that senior executives spend up to 40% of their time navigating internal politics. 40%. That's nearly half the work week not dedicated to customer strategy or product, but to managing perceptions, alliances, and rivalries. And it's not just statistics. We see it in real life. Take Apple, for example. One of the world's most admired companies has recently gone through a series of leadership shuffles in its AI and software teams. Media reports talk of internal power struggles, overlapping roles, and splintered focus. Even at the very top, internal dynamics can get in the way of progress. In my 3 decades as a procurement consultant, I've had a front row seat to similar dynamics. I've worked with brilliant CPOs who had deep relationships with suppliers and influence across functions. But some of them burned out, not from external pressures, but from the constant need to watch their back. They stopped trusting their own teams, they became fixated on internal opponents, and all that energy that could have gone toward innovation or transformation, it was consumed by internal scheming. Now I want to be very clear, you can't completely check out of politics. That would be naive. As the old saying goes, even some paranoids have real enemies. But the key is to stay constructive. There's a world of difference between staying aware and getting consumed. Let me share a personal story. Long before I became a procurement consultant, I worked as an assistant to the CEO of a food services company. I had just finished my PhD in artificial intelligence. Yes, even 35 years ago, AI was already a thing. And I was full of ideas. One of them was an order-taking system that ended up giving me a lot of visibility. And that visibility got to my head. At the time, the head of HR, who also oversaw IT, was preparing to launch a new invoicing system. I had doubts. So I forced a test run, and it failed badly. But instead of collaborating and helping him course correct, I humiliated him publicly. Looking back, I'm still embarrassed about that. Yes, I was right, but I wasn't helpful. I didn't think about the long-term impact on trust, morale, or effectiveness. I only thought about being right. And I see this mistake repeated over and over again, especially by younger managers who confuse internal victories with progress. At least I believe I learned. Over the years, I've worked hard to almost completely steer clear of politics. There were times when this made me vulnerable in the short term, but in the long run, it served me well. It kept me focused, reduced my stress, and made me happier. Now I don't want to pretend I've always taken the high road. I'm no saint, but I've seen enough over the years to know that winning in internal politics is often a short-lived victory. Real sustainable success comes from making things better, not from winning arguments behind closed doors. So if you're a procurement professional, especially one on the rise, here's my advice. Stay informed, stay alert, but don't get drawn into the vortex. Politics may be part of the game, but it shouldn't become your strategy. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Schuh, and this has been Procurement in the Park.